Wow. So Afghanistan implodes in literally just like a few days. And if you've been following this at all, we actually left military hardware for the Taliban. We left it there for them. All of the training we did for the last 20 years, which shows you that if we had gotten out of Afghanistan after a couple of years and just left it to its own devices, we wouldn't be in the predicament we're in now. But as a guy who deals in Realville, okay, that's where I live. I don't live in libertarian theory. I don't live in populist mantra. I don't live in neocon Liz Cheney world where we're never going to leave Afghanistan. And a guy who lives outside of those boundaries, I understand that if you're going to pull out of Afghanistan, you need a plan. And I'm all for getting the hell out of there. We've been there for 20 freaking years, folks. And I've been very vocal about my opposition to endless war. But guess what this has done? It's made the neocons look like geniuses. See, we need to stabilize the region. You can't pull out of Afghanistan. We've got to stay there forever. And they're going to send troops back. They're going to, you know how hard that's going to be logistically? These guys have basically taken over everything, including the airport. Have you seen the pictures of the people trying to actually grab onto the airplane taking off from the airport? It's stunning. It's stunning. Look, I feel for these people. And guess what? For all you America First type folks who are tired of like the open border, which apparently this year we're going to have 5 million people crossing that border. Guess who else is coming to the United States? Look, I guess it's going to be a nice replacement for all the depopulation that's currently underway. Nice way of saying it, and maybe somewhat safe. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the VAERS website sometime. Go do some research outside of your normal mainstream media mainstay propaganda places that tell you everything's great. Go do the thing, take the thing. Oh, and get a booster thing. Forgot about the booster thing. Maybe this is a way to keep the population from declining, except culturally, spiritually. I mean, there are a number of different things. Economically, America is in free fall. And these people who are running the show, now I'm a little bit perplexed, unless this was intentional. And look, a lot of the people on the left are going to say good, right? And I'm sympathetic to the good argument, but you need some strategy. You need some kind of a system in place so chaos doesn't ensue. It's like, hey, we're just going to leave. And my initial reaction is good. I'm glad we're leaving, but you need a plan. You just can't leave a bunch of munitions behind so the Taliban can pick them up and then just march into the city, which they did. Now, for you libertarians, the Taliban is a thing. This is why Tulsi Gabbard, and she got a lot of blowback when she said, you know, I'm kind of a hawk on terror, but I'm not into regime change. Okay, because nobody was trying to regime change Afghanistan, really. What they're trying to do is prevent the Taliban from taking over. And that's kind of what they did. It's kind of what they're doing. All right. Now, if this is a good thing in your eyes because you're just so isolationist and you're so America first that you're just going to, do you understand what this will do to us economically if we have to accept hundreds, if not thousands, of Afghan refugees, in addition to the refugees from South America. You've got to stop worrying about, oh no, it's jingoism. Oh no, it's isolationism. You don't like brown people. That's not the issue. We can only take care of so many people. We can't take care of the people we have now. What is wrong with you people? And by the way, I'm speaking rhetorically here. I'm not singling any person out other than maybe Ben Shapiro. No, I'm just kidding, Ben. Maybe Ben. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be somebody out there that's just, we need to have a presence forever because that's worked out so well. People are saying this is kind of like Joe Biden's Saigon moment. I would say it might be worse than Saigon. Really, really. Because the region that we've been supposedly taking care of for the last 20 years is completely like unhinged. It went from 0 to 100 in a few days. And even the normal neocon pundits who love our current supposed president are now starting to back off. Now you're saying to yourself, Dave, these are just a bunch of neocons fretting because their guy wasn't neocon enough. No, it's more than that. It's here's a guy. Basically, I'm driving the car at 100 miles an hour and I jump out and I let the car go. That's exactly what's going on here. I mean, if this isn't worthy of articles of impeachment, do I think we should be the world's policeman? No. But we should have some kind of plan. We needed a plan in place probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago to back out of this. And I'm surprised Obama didn't do it because he ran on it. But I think I know why, because Obama wants to destabilize countries. I don't know why he wants world chaos. I don't understand why anyone wants world chaos. And by the way, this is making Donald Trump look better. It doesn't mean that people, if they dig into this, are going to discover that Trump really did have a plan to fix it. But the argument was you don't pull out of there in this particular fashion. You've been there for 20 years. It's like moving out of a house and just leaving in 12 hours and bye-bye, we're out of here. And you leave a bunch of crap behind. In this case, it's weapons and supplies. And, you just basically give the Taliban the keys to the city and they walk in. And it's crazy. And some of us are still going to say, good, who cares? I'm glad the Taliban have taken over. So much for defeating the Taliban, right? Tulsi Gabbard fans, so much for being a hawk on terror. Whether we like it or not, the Taliban is part of the problem. And I get the fact that they don't like the stuff that we do. And I get the fact that they were ready to pounce. I mean, you need stability in the region. How do you create stability? Well, you don't go there in the first place, right? And we can all just say that. Monday morning quarterbacks, I'm saying it. I've said it before. We should have never went in. Even Donald Trump said that. So what was the plan? To slowly kind of back out through the side door so nobody could see us? Do you leave weapons for the people that want to destroy what we did? Or do you want to kind of train the people that were there? Apparently we did, and it didn't matter. We must have done a crappy job training these people because it was cut and run. It was like, oh, they're trying to grab onto our planes that are leaving, the military planes that are leaving Afghanistan. Basically, we're just leaving with no notice. Goodbye. Good luck. Now, if you're somewhat compassionate, you might want to check out what the Afghan people are going to deal with now, because it ain't going to be good. And by the way, Christians in Afghanistan, it's a bullet between the eyes, folks. That's what's happening. That's what will happen if it doesn't happen. And I know there are some people, libertarians and others, who are going to sit there and go, it's not my problem. I really don't care. Okay, we made it our problem for 20 years. That's the difference. We invested $2.2 trillion in this. And this is worse than Saigon because it's another war we just lost. We surrendered. We got out. Now, again, the could have, would have, should have, don't go to Afghanistan. Well, 9/11 was more about Afghanistan than Iraq, right? We took our eye off the ball. We went into, George W. Bush had this vendetta because of his dad, Saddam Hussein, Kuwait, all of that stuff. We need to finish the job there. Mission accomplished, which it wasn't. We don't succeed when we get involved in these endless wars. The best thing would be not to get involved with them, but this is the most shoddy, irresponsible, and ridiculous way to end a so-called endless war. And it is. It's an endless war. And we have left the region worse than we found it. That's the problem. And that's going to have repercussions, geopolitical repercussions for decades, literally decades. That region is going to be a powder keg. They've basically set up shop in a place that we thought was going to be, freedom for the Afghan people. This is going to be great. They've finally succeeded thanks to the United States and all of our diligence and 4 administrations putting their arm to the wheel, and we're getting the job done. Nope. It's total anarchy, chaos. It's almost as if they wanted to turn, Afghanistan into Portland, Oregon. I'm just thinking that there's so much just chaos and confusion throughout the entire world. I don't know about you, but people are going to be checking out of this world. They're going to be, I'm done. I just want to live my life and be happy. And I turn on the news and I find out that the Taliban is now controlling Afghanistan. Does that concern you? Are they going to attack the United States? Hopefully not. But they're going to make that region an absolute hellhole. And here's the other kicker that's really important. Anyone who is left behind has to fend for themselves. And there are U.S. nationals there, and there are obviously Christians, Afghan Christians, and just Afghans who appreciated the stability that maybe where we were providing on a limited basis. I'm just thinking you really have to, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off the arm. Let the wound heal first. Have a plan in place. I'm not saying Trump had a plan, but obviously Biden's plan was to cut and run. And the cut and run is going to hurt the United States. Not the military contractors necessarily, all right? Because they'll find another war to fund and to provide weapons for. We have a problem at the border. We have a problem now in the Middle East. What is going on, folks? It's almost like a controlled demolition of everything. Foreign policy, domestic policy, health policy. Don't forget about health policy. Most Americans are worried about just not having to lose their job because they refuse to do the thing. And that threat is looming. And that's what most Americans care about. Afghanistan, that's horrible. I feel so bad for those people. We have just instigated a genocide in Afghanistan. We have just wiped our hands. And I get it. We can't be the world's policeman, but we caused the problem. This is why I say you need to protect the southern border, even though we caused the problem in South America. We caused it, but the people along the border don't deserve what we're doing to the people who are coming up here. They don't deserve the reaction. See how confusing this is? We're not going to be able to accommodate Afghan refugees. We are stacking refugee kids on top of each other, kids in cages, right now along our southern border. A humanitarian crisis, a geopolitical crisis, a crisis of will, a crisis of sovereignty here in the United States. But what are we doing? We are making it worse. And if this is some kind of wag the dog thing to take people's minds off of COVID and what's happening on the southern border and the economic crisis that we're in and the fact that the dollar is getting destroyed and inflation and debt. And by the way, they passed that monstrous budget. They passed it, right? By like one vote. And a majority of it isn't going to infrastructure. It's going into these pie in the sky neoliberal projects, kind of like the shovel ready jobs. Remember those? And where did all that money go? It went to states that were going bankrupt because they couldn't run their states. So you're going to see part two of that. The blue states are going to get bailed out. The red states, well, they're evil because they're not playing along, although some of them are doing some of it, like Ohio, Texas, and there are a few of them, Louisiana, doing all the crap that they want them to do. So Afghanistan is more than just really bad foreign policy and really bad strategic policy. It's going to affect us. It really will. And we shouldn't have gotten involved, or if we did get involved initially, we should have had a timetable. We should have had what the mission would entail. We shouldn't have had a fake mission accomplished. You could throw this at George W. Bush's feet. I know a lot of people are blaming Trump for this. This isn't Trump's fault. This is George W. Bush and Joe Biden, who were, by the way, both on the same page when that vote came down. Donald Trump at the time was trying to buy real estate and make a profit. All right. So sorry, I'm not defending Trump because he should have drained the damn swamp when he had the opportunity. Because the way it stands now, I don't know if that swamp is ever going to get drained by anyone. If you're not fully black-pilled at this moment, if you're still doing the whole party politics, red, blue, BS, you're not paying attention. You're not seeing the big picture. All right. And I'm at the point now where I just don't even want to listen. You know, if you're Sean Hannity, shut up. Shut up. You've been pro-war forever. You don't have any nuance in any of your opinions. Just shut up. All right. Keith Olbermann, if you even open your mouth to just scream and yell and try to get attention, you're adding to the fire, which is getting bigger and bigger. Americans aren't going to take much more of this. They can't. They can't. Americans are peace-loving people. Americans are people that want to mind their own business. But if we're all going to eventually just succumb to this globalist takeover of everything we love, then I think a few of us will go down with a fight. You might as well go down fighting, right? I know there are a bunch of people, that are playing Fortnite right now that really don't care. But the bigger problem is that eventually they'll knock on your door and they'll drag you out of your house. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen anytime soon. But if we can be this totalitarian and crazy with our foreign policy, and then, just like, hey, I just pulled the plug on this, and then think, no one's going to fill this void. And then the Taliban just come walking in, and they're a legitimate terror threat. They're a legitimate threat. It's not like, oh, we have to ignore the Taliban because they're just a nice political organization. No. The Taliban is bad, all right? For you libertarians, the Taliban is bad. Democrats, they're bad. Republicans, some of you. Mitch McConnell, the Taliban is a bad thing. All right. I don't know how much worse this can get. I'm out of bullets, though. The gun is empty. And, we all have to speak out and we all have to do our part. try to keep your politics local, even though this is global. Do what you can at the local level. I don't know what you can do with a rogue federal government that's been rogue for decades and a couple of generations at least now. Maybe even since the time JFK got shot. I don't know what to do, though. You try to live your life. You try to be happy. You live, you die, they bury you, and that's the end of it, right? Good riddance. I mean, what happened to humanity? Why? How? Just why? How? I've got a lot of questions, and nobody's giving me any answers. At the end of the day, you've got to look yourself in the eye. You've got to love your family, love your God, try to love your country, try to do what's right, try to fight the tyranny. In the end, we don't have that much control. And I don't know if we can get that control back. I don't. We're all just going through the motions. I mean, you watch something unravel this quickly and you realize, I mean, I watched the gas prices go up like $1 in a short period of time. I watched inflation just skyrocket. I watched this president who was supposed to bring people together divide them even more than they were already divided. I don't see an end to this. I don't. And we just have to kind of hang in there. Maybe something will change, but we have to be the change. And if some of us are just worried about keeping our heads above water, those people aren't going to have time to be the change.